With Rex Mangat, who's CEO at Marfi, and he's an entrepreneur too. And so he's my choice to be entrepreneur and to interview him. So thank you for helping me. And I would like to ask you something about your entrepreneurial history and your startup.
Sure. My name is Rex Mangat. I'm the CEO of Murphy.com, which is a high fidelity audio startup here in Madison. I've been CEO now for about 6 months. Before that, I had my own startup, which was called Neon Home Support, which was a peer-to-peer technology support and coaching platform that I had started right after I had graduated from the University of Wisconsin Business School and got my MBA. Before that, I worked for Apple. I worked for a few high-tech startup kind of companies around town, more kind of project management. My educational background is I have a bachelor's in economics and finance from the University of Wisconsin, and then an MBA in product marketing and brand management.
Okay, so can you please describe me the process which brought you to realize your startup, difficulties, how you financed your startup, if you had some other people with you, or if it was just easy or not?
Well, I think having ideas is incredibly easy. Actually executing those ideas can be incredibly challenging. So the idea for Neon actually came about in the context of a entrepreneurial class as an MBA, and so it was an idea that I've had that I was thinking about for many years. I thought as most entrepreneurs will tell you, that what happens is you identify a problem and then think about a profitable way to fix that problem. And so the problem that I identified early on was that there was a lot of need for tech coaching and technology coaching for older Americans that weren't super familiar with new technology, and that they needed that coaching in the context of their home environment as opposed to coming to a store or going to a third location. So that was the impetus. That was a problem that I had witnessed from just being the child of older Americans who weren't comfortable with technology, just kind of seeing how older people were working with technology, and I thought that there was a compelling way to fix that problem. In terms of so starting that, it started out as an academic exercise as a student, and then after I graduated, I decided that I was going to pursue it full force and really give it the old college try. Getting a startup off the ground is an incredibly difficult experience if you've never done it before. In fact, even if you have done it before, it still presents a lot of challenges because no two startups are alike. I was able to get some seed money from friends and family. So I had about $75,000 to just validate that this was an idea worth pursuing, and found that the startup journey is such that it was a lot of work. It was tireless work. It was more work than I've ever done in my entire life, and a lot of it was not so much grunt work, but it was thinking about and strategizing. And so and I did that for about 8 months. I did the whole thing. I built an MVP. I talked to customers. I talked to potential investors. I tried to build out the technical side of it, the marketing side of it. Really tried to build a platform and a company that I could be proud of and that people would be willing to invest in. And it was able to achieve a fair amount of success with the money that I had, but then found that it was very difficult to get follow-on funding to actually take it the next step. So that's when it went to bed, so to speak.
And what do you think the outcomes of your entrepreneurial activity were?
Well, that's, I think, when you think about a return on investment. So yeah, the startup didn't really take off. So the money was gone, but in terms of what I gained, it was priceless because I learned what it really takes to build a brand, build a company. How difficult it really is to communicate value to potential customers. And so a lot of the value that I gained was just the experience of having failed, right? And and failure is a tough word because in a pure business and economic sense, sure, totally failed. But in a personal sense, in terms of the skills that I developed and the skills of like persistence, the skills of just creatively problem solving in a way that I'd never done before, marshaling resources, effectively using resources, that kind of stuff. That was super valuable, and then it actually helped me have better conversations when I was looking at the next phase of my career, which was okay. Now my startup didn't work. I want to go back to the drawing board. I want to look for other opportunities, and it was instrumental in helping me, be a CEO today.
Okay, and so even if you fail, as you said, do you think that you would try it again, and maybe in the future you would like to try to do a startup again?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now being the CEO of Murphy is phenomenal because in a lot of ways even though the company is like 10 years old, it's still very much a startup. It's being recapitalized, we're raising money, we're building new features, and so after my first real try being a startup founder and building a valuable company, I've only learned more, and so I feel like anything I do after this, I'm going to be much better prepared to succeed with because I've had that early experience.
Okay. Do you think that motivations to get involved are necessary to just try to build a company or to succeed? Or if you don't have motivation, maybe you lack something and you will never reach anything?
I think there's, motivation is an interesting word. I think there needs to be a certain level of ambition. You need to have a lot of self-confidence to really start a company and feel that you can build it and grow it. You need to be willing to learn. You need to be willing to be wrong. And there's a lot of environmental factors that go into it that I think not a lot of people realize. Like I was in a great position to, pursue a startup, just in terms of, my family life and where I was in my career, like coming right out of the MBA program. I talked with a lot of mentors before. I didn't just jump in. I checked my assumptions and wanted to get some perspective from older, more successful people who said, yeah, there's no reason for you not to do this. And so motivation, I think, is a big part of it, but I think also is just figuring out if you're in the right life state to do it. Like I would encourage, like if you're unattached, if you're not married, I mean, a lot of people who pursue startups are married, and that's great, and that's totally fine. But like if you're in the context of school, like if you're an undergrad or a grad program, I would absolutely 100% say that it's something you should consider pursuing because the amount of stuff that you'll learn about yourself and about business is just incredible, and it's over a very short period of time.
So it's an empowering experience, even if it, not considering the outcome, the final outcome, if you succeed or not, is it an empowering experience as well?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely it is. I mean, there's nothing more empowering than building something and pointing to something and saying, I made that, I came up with that, and that's out and it's successful now. I mean, that's what we're really after. I think entrepreneurs are generally, not creative in the sense of artistic, but creative in the sense that they like to create things that will persist. And I'm certainly that way. Like I get much more excited about building something new than improving something old. So yeah, I mean, that's why we do it.
Yeah. Okay, last question. Do you think that social value it's important for a startup, and did you have some social value for like to give benefits to the society?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I don't think you can have a successful startup nowadays without, a traditional, a consumer level startup needs to have in order to be successful in this market, it needs to be conscious of the social implications of whatever they're doing. Like when I started Neon, my goal wasn't to necessarily make money and have a profit. That was an outcome. What I wanted to do was I wanted to help people more easily engage with technology, because I felt that, people that are empowered by technology can do more, and they can be more. They can, technology helps us connect to one another. And so I was thinking that by helping people engage with technology easier, we'll create a more connected, happier society. And so I think, the social good has to be taken into consideration anytime you're building an enterprise. Because if you don't do it, just from a business standpoint, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to. But I think it has a lot, it's also important when you think about retaining people and getting people to work with you. It's much easier to get people on board to put their blood, sweat, and tears into a startup and work on it with you day and night if they know that there is some overarching social good attached to it. So for Murphy, music has the power of bringing people incredible joy. It has the power of bringing people together. That's what we live for at the company. Is we know that music makes the world go round, and so if we can empower people by allowing them to engage and connect more deeply with their music, then for us that means that we'll have a more tolerant and connected society. And so there's always an element of social good. You think about any big company that's ever done anything great, there's always an element of some social purpose that's underlying their strategy.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.